I'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'll go for like a 6K run, and then I go to school and I have however many children in front of me, and I just put on this show, essentially, which is crazy because I feel like if I reflect back to pre-service teacher Bridget, she was adamant that she was going to be an upper years teacher. And then I got chucked into 1-2, and now I'm like, well, this probably makes a lot more sense now just because of how I am as a person.
Welcome to Rainbow Skies for New Teachers, where we're all about bite-sized tips and simple strategies for bright and busy new teachers.
If you're in your first few years of your career and want to make the rollercoaster ride of teaching more fun, streamlined and stress-free, you're in the right place.
We're Ashleigh and Alisha, the dynamic duo from Rainbow Sky Creations, and we're excited to be your teacher mentors on the go. There are rainbows ahead, my friend.
And together, we're unstoppable. Let's get into today's episode.
Rainbow Sky Creations acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this podcast on, the Dharawal and Whadjuk Noongar people. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.
Well, here we are again at the Rainbow Skies for New Teachers podcast, and I'm really glad that you chose to listen to today's episode because we have got another guest, and she is a bundle of energy in the most fantastic way. I'd like to introduce Bridget, aka Miss Inclusivity. Now, Bridget's an early career teacher, but she's also a business owner. She loves sharing tips, honest truths, and all about her teaching journey, and that's exactly what she does with us today. You can tell she's got a real passion for education, and that is something that I absolutely adore about Bridget. So without further ado, introducing Bridget, aka Miss Inclusivity. Miss Inclusivity, tell me, what does inclusivity look like to you?
Oh, I think it looks like including everybody, not even just in the classroom, but everywhere. So both inside and outside of the classroom, no matter who they are, what their story is, or how they have come to be.
That's awesome. When I first met you, we actually got to connect in real life at a cafe. And I really got that vibe from you that you were really open to everyone and anything. You're always really interested to listen to their stories. So I'm not surprised that that is the reason behind it and what inclusivity means to you. So tell me, the other day when I jumped on Instagram, one of your reels popped up and it was something that really spoke to me. It was all about a mindset switch. And you were talking about, instead of saying, I have to do these things, like I have to write reports, I have to do playground duty, you said to switch your mindset and switch how you approach those things. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I find, and as most teachers do in Australia, especially in term 2, is that you get such in a rut of what you need to do. And yes, there is a lot of things technically as a teacher that you have to do during term 2, and it can put a really negative mindset on it. Each day can be a struggle sometimes, and how I'm going to move forward past this. So I just wanted to do a little mindset shift. As I've been doing it outside of teaching, I thought, hey, let's apply it to teaching. And I know that these small little ideas that I share on Instagram, sometimes I think there's some silly little tidbit that I've thought of, and then it usually hits mark with someone. And I thought, well, why not share this? And then funnily enough, the amazing Mrs. Learning Bee actually messaged me that day too. And she was like, you will not believe what I filmed today as well. And she goes, I did the exact same thing. Even though Tam's outside of the classroom now too, and I'm inside the classroom, that whole mindset shift, instead of saying, I have to do this, I have to do that, you change it to, I get to do this. Because there's so many things, even just in a day-to-day life, that you feel are such a mundane task. And some people would absolutely love to do those sorts of things.
Yeah, you're so right. I feel like I try and have that mindset when I'm going to work as well, because I work at Rainbow Skies, everyone knows. And sometimes I say, oh, I've got to go to work. No, I get to go to work, and I'm really lucky to be able to do what I do, and I love what I do. And just that change of words can make such a difference. And I think that's the same in the classroom too. Just changing the words around to help our students can make a massive difference. I know that you're really big into growth mindset, as are we. And often kids can say, I can't do this. And just adding that yet onto the end of it, I can't do this yet, it makes a difference.
Oh, it's massive. We do that a lot. And I get those a lot of the time, especially because I work in the younger years. I can't do it. This is too hard. It's become just like normal meta language in our classroom that if anybody in the classroom hears somebody say, I can't do it, there's always somebody going, no, I can't do it yet. And I'm like, I love that I've created these positive little humans, we'll try to, and they are just implementing it into their mindset as well. And we've actually implemented it into like a new thing that we started implementing called the learning pit. I don't know if you've seen that before, but I saw it on Pinterest or something somewhere, and I was like, I'm going to take that and make it my own. And it's like a dip and a graph, and down at the bottom of the dip of the graph there's a brick wall, and you've got to put effort into it to get over. And all on the left hand side of it is the fixed mindset stuff, and on the left hand side, after you get over the brick wall of effort, you start having the growth mindset. And they were like, Miss Cantor, you have to put I can do this on the growth mindset side. And I was like, I love this.
That's wonderful. No, I have never heard of the learning pit. That is really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I just saw a photo of it and I was like, I'm just going to quickly whip up like a base of it on Canva. And it was just like a graph that had a dip in it. And then I just put a photo of a brick wall down the bottom. And then we just inserted all of the mindset, thoughts, or feelings that we might be having on both sides of the brick wall as a class together.
Amazing. So it's like
I'm all about co-constructed stuff.
Yeah. An activity that was a lesson in itself, but then you created something for them to go back to. I love that sort of stuff too.
It lives at the front of our classroom as well. So we've got that at the front alongside like our schedule and our voice levels, all of that just at the front so everybody can see it at all times.
Has anyone come in and said, I love that, I'm going to do it in my room?
Oh, I spoke about it with my assistant principal and they loved that. And I was showing it because it was at the front of the classroom. Obviously, I had parent-teacher interviews as well. I was showing it to some of the parents who have students who have additional needs. And I was like, this is something that we're referencing to a lot. So if you want to use this meta language at home as well, you can do that. And some of the parents even wanted to just take photos of it so that they could print it out and use it at home too. And I was like, oh, that's cool, because we thought everything that was on there was written by the students. So they just wanted the photo of it to use it at home too, which is awesome.
That is fabulous. That is the most perfect example of how to create those connections with parents in just a way that's not too much for the teacher. It's a perfect alignment with what's happening in your classroom. And then you've got that shared understanding between teacher, parent, student about something that you're doing. I love that you encourage them to take photos so they can use it at home. That's really clever.
Yeah, but also it saves an email too. Sometimes you can always send out emails, but sometimes parents don't see them. If I see them in person, I'll obviously show them the classroom and explain everything to them. Or if I see them before or after school, I'll explain some meta language that we might be using and then they can use it at home. And I think it's really important to have that teacher-parent-student relationship, that we're all on the same team and we're building these children up to be the best versions of themselves that they can be.
Yeah, definitely. It is a team effort. And sometimes we kind of see parents as the enemy, but they're not. We're often saying to our new teachers, especially, parents may come in, they may approach something in a way that doesn't feel good to you, but that's just because their core reason is to stick up and be there for their child. And sometimes that may come off a little bit aggressive or not in the right tone, but really at the end of the day, they're just advocating for their child and that's their job. And as a teacher, it's your job to be like, I'm on your team too. Let's do the best that we can together. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it can be hard, but absolutely. As long as you and the parents understand that they're on the same team and trying to have the best outcome for the student. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, Bridget, you have been teaching for a year and a half now, and I feel like you've been in the classroom forever because you've got it all happening, everything up and running so beautifully. How do you keep going with that energy and what motivates you with your little people in your classroom?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I was grateful to get the same space again. So I was able to consolidate my understanding of the cohort that I was basically in. So I taught year 1 and 2 last year, and I got the same opportunity to teach it again this year. It's a good opportunity to fine tune what you had from your first year, which is a roller coaster in itself. And then think about what you did last year and just do better if you can in any areas, or be like, okay, reflect upon it and improve or find tweak. Say, for instance, a lesson or a unit of work, or even a scope and sequence of how you lined everything up for the year. In regards to the energy side of things, I genuinely don't know. I have this question a lot, and a lot of people ask me, they're like, where do you find the energy to do this? Like, I'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'll go for like a 6K run, and then I go to school and I have however many children in front of me, and I just put on this show essentially, which is crazy because I feel like if I reflect back to pre-service teacher Bridget, she was adamant that she was going to be an upper years teacher, and then I got chucked into 1-2, and now I'm like, well, this probably makes a lot more sense now just because of how I am as a person. Yeah, I don't know. I think the important thing I would say is find yourself a hobby outside of teaching as well. And in regards to having energy, you would think that working out in the morning would make you more tired, but I definitely find myself more tired if I don't do a workout or movement of some form in the morning before school. So that's like a little tip I'd probably say. I definitely notice myself having more energy or not feeling as sluggish in the afternoons after school if I work out in the morning.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, but it's true. I find that too. I mean, I don't work out as amazingly as you do on your big runs, but I do find those mornings that I don't get out and go for my walk, it slows down the routine and then
Yeah.
everything kind of gets out of whack.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I feel the same. And I feel so much more like sluggish like in the afternoon and when I come home. And I'm just like, no, if I don't do it in the morning, I'm going to struggle to do it in the afternoon. And I know that because having dozens of little humans in front of you wanting your undying attention for 6 hours of the day, it definitely does take a toll.
Yeah, it's tiring.
It's very tiring. That's why I'm like, oh, as soon as I get to holidays, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, you can sit down and relax. Tell me, what are some of the things that you love to do in your holidays?
Every school holidays, I try a new gym or something like that. Try something new. Last year, I think I tried out like 3 different gyms. I did something new every school holidays. Last school holidays, I went on a trip. This one's I'm not going on a trip. So I'm really just doing little projects around the house because you don't really get the time to do that during the term. I mean, your whole week is just filled with teaching. And then it comes to the weekends, if you don't have events on or sport or something like that, the weekend just goes by in a flash. So I'm kind of doing all of those things that I want to do during the term that I always say, oh, I can't do that because I don't have the time. Like stock standard, getting your car serviced. It's always so hard to do that during the term. Getting your hair done because that takes however many hours of your day to do that. All of those things that I'm just like, oh, I can't do it because it's Monday to Friday. And then on the weekends, it goes by in a flash. Nothing exciting these holidays, but I would love to be able to go on a holiday, every school holidays, but that's just unfeasible.
Well, that's the goal. You never know. You can't
I
do
would
it
love
yet.
to. No, not yet. That's it. But next school holidays, we've got a nice little trip planned, but nothing really exciting these holidays. It's also really, I like to spend my time working on my business too, which a lot of people say, well, you're working still. But I'm like, no, I love doing this. I love having more time to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So if anyone doesn't know out there, Bridget also has her own business and we will talk about your business at the end. I wanted to jump back to something that you said earlier about the first year of being a teacher is such a roller coaster. Now, considering it's like fresh in your mind, what are some of the tips that you might have for new teachers that are currently on that roller coaster?
Like I said, I would say get a hobby outside of teaching, whether that be reading, whether it be working out, whether it be a creative outlet, anything like that you are just looking forward to doing outside of teaching. I think it's more of a well-being tip outside of teaching because I found myself, because your to-do list is never ending. Like you can always do something. And especially if you're taking your laptop home, you can always be laptop heavy onto it. And I was doing that a lot last year, but I felt like I wanted to do it because I was working on my laptop at home because I was trying to tweak a lot of things and understand it. But you can do that during your work hours or while you're at school. I feel like this year I've really prioritized making sure I'm not doing much, if any, work while at home, because last year I would be sending emails at ridiculous hours because I felt like I needed to reply to it straight away. I was documenting or scanning documents, taking photos, writing notes of all these things just popped up in my head and I was like, I need to get it down somewhere. I would definitely say prioritize, not think, and I know you've probably reiterated this in your mentorship, that to not think that what you're doing in uni is what's going to be happening in real life. Because it is crazy out there, the difference between the lesson plans that you make in university, for example, or the unit plans that you make in university compared to what you do in teaching. Like sometimes the lessons don't go to plan. Sometimes you will finish 20 whole minutes before you think you will finish, or you have to stop a lesson because you have to address behaviors, or you have to stop a lesson because you feel like you need to go back a lesson. Just don't put too much pressure on yourself. I would say I felt like in the first couple of weeks of teaching, I put so much pressure on myself. And I remember I said something to a colleague and I said, oh my goodness, it's week 4 and I haven't taught the 4th lesson of HAS or whatever it was. And she turns around to me and she goes, I think I've only done 1. What are you stressed about? And I was like, it's week 4. I'm meant to have done 4 lessons of HAS by this point. Oh no. And she's just like, please take a breath, get to it when you can. It's the first 4 weeks of the year. Like, let's not worry about it. So yeah, I'd say prioritize yourself and don't be so hard on yourself if you feel like you're not getting everything done, because trust me, it's impossible to get everything done.
That is a really big thing. That is something that I struggled with so much. And I remember like it was yesterday, having that to-do list, and I would just continually add things onto there. And if you're a new teacher and you're listening to this is not something that goes away after 2 years experience. For me, I've been teaching for close to 20 years, and still I could continually add to that to-do list. And things would just never get completely crossed off. Like you would never get to the end of it and be like, great, I've done everything on there. So we've got to manage ourselves and our own expectations for sure. I think that is a really, really important one.
Absolutely. I feel like, yeah, putting yourself first and also taking the pressure off, because I feel like that's the thing, like you said, the to-do list is never ending, but does university set you up for that? Because I don't think it does.
No, I think that that's a different conversation entirely that we need to have with universities, setting people up to go out into the real world of teaching and to feel confident, to feel like they know what they're doing. That's one of the reasons why Alisha and I love supporting new teachers, because we want them to have a place that they can come and ask questions and feel like they're not drowning.
Yeah. And also have a community where somebody else might say something and they'll be like, oh my goodness, I was too scared to say that or too scared to ask that question, and they get the answers that they need. It's really, really important. I feel like, especially in that first term of your first year of teaching, I'd say that's probably like the biggest roller coaster, because you're just like, oh my goodness, get to the end of the term. And then all of a sudden they say, all of your adjustments need to be uploaded. All this needs to be uploaded. It's the end of the term. And you're like, wait, what? What was I meant to be doing? I have no idea. It happens. And that's why you just need to ask the silly questions. I don't want it to be a negative thing to think about that for teachers, that it's just this crazy world and you aren't prepared for it, but you can be, and you will actually surprise yourself of how amazing you can do and how amazing you will be at the job if you absolutely love it, which I'm sure every single person that listens to this podcast absolutely loves teaching. And you just do your best, and I'm sure the students will thrive from that.
Definitely. You can only do your best.
Yeah.
That's all that people can ask for. So do your best, pop your head down, work hard. And as you say, put that time aside for yourself, because you deserve that too. And your students deserve a rested, happy teacher. And that is how you become a rested, happy teacher, is when you do things that fill your cup, whatever it might be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bridget, what is your favorite part of teaching?
Oh, goodness me. That's really hard. How am I supposed to choose one thing as my favorite? I don't know. I love just the whole idea of it, especially even if you think about just teaching as a whole, like what the idea of it is you're basically creating and helping bring up the next generation of kids and setting them up for success. And we're trying to set them up for success. I love helping, seeing those aha moments, or helping them shape their minds from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, like we were talking before, and just those small things and seeing them apply them in just an everyday setting as well. And I just love seeing their learning as well. Last term, we did a whole entire unit on living things. Our science unit was living things. In English, we were writing in a formative text, and we decided to do it on sea animals because then we wanted to consolidate their learning by going to SeaWorld. So everything was just, all KLAs were just meshing together. I was like, this is amazing. When we did the scope and sequence last year, I was like, let's make sure this all lines up. And then all of a sudden, now I've got like 4 kids in my class that want to do something when they grow up. They've changed from like a dancer to a dolphin trainer they want to be when they grow up.
Oh,
or
that's beautiful.
They've changed from wanting to be a garbage truck driver, I think one of them said, and now he said a scientist for animals. I said, so a biologist basically. And he's like, yeah, I want to do that. So it's seeing those moments where they're really understanding what is happening inside of the classroom and wanting to apply it in the outside world as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it's tailoring the learning towards them and their interests. And then obviously Bridget lives in Queensland. So what you have nearby, like how amazing that you get to go to SeaWorld on an excursion.
That was cool. That was really, really cool. And I wanted to do that because I remember when I was in, I think it was kindergarten or year 1, and we went to Taronga Zoo. And I still remember that excursion. Like I remember how exciting that excursion was. And my mum came to it as well. Yeah. So that's just like a big core memory, and even just creating those core memories with those kids and trying to make sure that they loved school as much as I loved school. I loved school so much, and I can't believe it took me till halfway through grade 12 to realize I wanted to be a teacher.
You probably knew deep down, because you did love school and it just came to the surface.
Yeah, it did. Well, it was more from the job I had at the time. Like I was doing kids parties.
Okay.
But I was doing like kids parties of 30 kids by myself. And these parents are like, are you going to be a teacher? And I was like, no, I'm going to be a dietitian. And they're like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because I think you should be a teacher, because the way that you can handle these kids. And I was only 17 at the time. They were like, this is crazy. They're like, I don't think you've seen anything like this. And I'm also the eldest of 6 kids. So I think it kind of comes naturally. And then I'm happy that I switched now.
Yeah, well, you're definitely made for teaching.
Thank you.
So aside from teaching, you also have a business.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So it started when I started my Instagram page, Miss Inclusivity. So that was, oh goodness me, 3 years ago now. And I released my first resource, which was my emotional regulation flashcards. And I made them because I was working at OSH at the time.
For anyone who's not sure what OSH is, after school care.
Yeah, I just say OSH like everybody knows. Out of school hours care. So I was doing that and I was like, there were so many friends that needed assistance with emotional regulation. So I was like, I'm going to make something for this. And then I put it out there. Then I was like, well, I didn't like the lanyards that this after school care was providing me. And I'd seen so many people doing lanyards and I had a collection of my own happening at the time. And then I just thought, why am I not doing this myself? So then it just kind of snowballed from there. And I made new resources and I made new lanyards. And I can't even tell you how many lanyards I've made. I genuinely have no idea. And I don't know how many I've sold because I'm looking at thousands right in front of me right now. It's really, really cool. And I love having it. I didn't think I would ever do it. I probably wouldn't have done it if my partner didn't literally push my shoulder and be like, do it. You have nothing to lose. And after the first launch, I sold out in like 3 days, I think it was. And at the time, I only had like 2,000 Instagram followers. And I was like, how is this happening? I don't understand. It's just snowballed from there. And now I just love doing it in school holidays. It's my me time and it's definitely snowballed. It's not just me now. It's my partner. It's my mum. It's my sister. And hopefully one day I might be able to, technically hire them as an employee. And yeah, I don't know. It's really, really cool. I love it. I love doing it. And I love the fact that people love what I do and I put out there.
Yeah, they do.
And I wanted to make them for everyone. So that's why for my lanyards, it wasn't just for teachers because my partner's a nurse and nurses wear lanyards.
Yes.
So I was just like, after my first launch, I only did the single clasp option. And now every single lanyard that I bring out, it's in both the single and the double clasp. So the double clasp sits in front of your neck and there's 2 breakaway points because some SLSOs, teacher aides, school officers, whatever you call them in your state, it's actually required that they need to have 2 breakaway points because it's a safety hazard. Nurses need it as well. Some nurses need 3. So that's why I made a healthcare lanyard that has 3. Like I just wanted to be able to make it a lanyard place where every single person can come and purchase them, no matter what their profession is, because I didn't realize how many different professions actually use lanyards. I'm now having corporate girlies buy my lanyards and I was originally just making them for teachers.
Oh my gosh, I did not realize that either.
No, because they all have like a swipe card that they need to get into the office or something.
Yeah, and you want something cool around your neck.
Yeah, so they all want to come and buy my crazy designs, which I love.
I love that too. I wish we had them when I first started teaching. Everyone just had like a plain black lanyard. It was so boring. And now there's just so many options. It's amazing.
It is cool. Oh, like there's the stock standard, like they just wear this plain blue and it's got stuff written it in just gigantic writing. Yeah. And that doesn't go with your pretty pink teacher dress, does it?
No, it does not.
No, absolutely not.
Now, I've got a quick round fire list of questions to ask you before we wrap it up. The first one we've kind of already answered. So you can only choose one and you can't give us too much of an explanation, okay?
Oh, that's not good for me because I ramble, as you can see.
I know. Before, you're going to want to give lots of
info.
Okay, lanyard or lanyard?
Lanyard.
I hear so many people call them lanyards. I actually even think I'm just going to throw Alisha under the bus here. She calls them a lanyard, and I'm like, no.
I think it's also depending on where you're from in Australia. I was from Sydney, but I moved to Queensland when I was 16. And I feel like people from New South Wales and Queensland, they kind of talk the same. Whereas you go to Adelaide and Perth, they talk a little bit different. Like you go to Adelaide and they say dance and prom. And us here in Queensland, the Bogans, we're all like, no, it's dance, guys. And then also you go to Victoria and they think it's a Palmer. I'm like, no, it's a Palmy. So I think it just depends on where you're from. I know there's a few companies like that are from Perth, Victoria. They say lanyard, but sorry, in my state, it's lanyard because we're lazy.
All right. I love lanyard. We're going to call it, everyone. It's lanyard, but we will give everybody who lives in another state in Australia or maybe another place in the world a pass if you say it another way where you live. Okay, yard duty or staff room duty?
Oh, staff room duty. What's that?
You never had to do staff room duty before?
Never.
Oh.
I work in a small school though, so that might make a big difference.
No, I don't think it does. I've worked in large schools, small schools. So staff room duty is when you have to go in and tidy up the staff room at the end of the day. So you wipe down all the tables, you wipe down the benches, you put anything that's been left in the sink in the dishwasher, you put the dishwasher on, and then in the morning you've got to come back in and unstack the dishwasher, clean out the fridge. It's the pit.
No, see, I just naturally do that anyway. So I do staff room duty.
There you go.
Well, it tends to
You're
be
a great
like,
person to have on staff.
Yeah, sometimes like me and my colleagues that are in 1-2 as well, we sometimes like to just, if we're in the office at the end of the day and we can see that there's mess, we'll just clean it up as we walk through.
What about if no one cleans it up? Does anyone just leave it?
Sometimes usually there's one person that does it, but I think the mindset is, I mean, we're all adults, so everybody should be cleaning up after themselves. So
that's exactly right, which is why staff room duty can be very contentious in some schools.
Yeah,
everyone should just be putting their things in the dishwasher.
That's crazy that there's that much stuff left from staff. That's horrible. Sorry. Yeah. I think if staff are doing that in a school where there needs to be a designated person to clean up after staff, there needs to be an overhaul of what the staff are doing in the staff room.
I will put that forward to some of the schools that I've worked at. I'd be interested to know. I might even put an Instagram story up after this and say, do you have staff room duty at your school?
Yeah, no, I've never had that. And I've worked in a few different schools as a teacher aide, and I don't think I've ever seen somebody actually designated to that duty, ever.
There you go. Okay, so
maybe I'm just not working in that school.
We're ruining my rule of like your quick answer, but that's okay. What about you cut out the inside of your display letters or you leave the inside of the letters there, like the letter O, for example?
Oh, no, cut it out, please. Please cut it out.
Yeah, I'm a cut out too. All right, art or science?
Science. That's easy.
I would not have guessed that for you.
Really? Oh, see, yeah. I'm a bit of a geek. I did biology and chemistry in high school, and I love teaching science. I reckon that's probably going to be my favorite subject to teach.
There you go.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, everyone. All right, last and final one. Would you rather a stamp stash or a lanyard stash? Oh, she can't decide, everyone. This is the first time I've ever seen Bridget shocked and lost for words. But here she is.
Yeah. Lost for words because I feel like I have, and I don't know which one to choose because stamps save so much time. They're amazing. But I like matching my lanyard. And I mean, my business, I have to say lanyard because it's my business. I have to.
Okay. Lanyard.
And plus, I have my own marking system going in my classroom anyway. So I feel like I could save time if I was really proactive with it. Yeah. Lanyard stash.
Would you wear a different one every single day of the week?
Yep. Unless I get a little bit lazy in the morning, I'm like, I'll just wear the one that I wore yesterday. But I literally come into my office every day and I swap it out and I change it to another one because, yeah, like I said before, I have no idea how many lanyards I have launched. And for some of them, I didn't even keep one for myself because it sold out so quickly that I forgot to keep one for myself.
Oh, what a shame. I bet they were the beautiful ones too.
I know, and one of them was the worldwide colours one, which had all the flags of the world on it.
Oh,
and that's
I loved that one.
Yeah, that's going to be one of my favourite ones, and I didn't keep it for myself, but it's coming back very soon in time for the Olympics, so thank goodness.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
So keep one aside. Now. Yeah.
Yes.
So before we go, tell me, Bridget, what is next for you?
Ooh.
In the teaching world, business world, anything we want to know.
The next thing that's coming up, I am running a half marathon in 2 weeks, if nobody knows. It's become my whole personality. Yes. Yeah. So I am now a runner. So I'm doing that in 2 weeks on the Gold Coast Marathon. And then we're back to school. And there's nothing really for the teaching world as such. It's all staying the same. I'm still in the same classroom at the same school. So like I said before, just fine-tuning everything that I did last year and seeing what I can do better and then reflecting upon that and monitoring and reviewing it and moving on, as we say in the teaching world. Business-wise, there's a lot happening. A lot of changes coming soon, even just to the Miss Inclusivity brand. Like I said before, because it's not just me, it's my partner, it's my mum, it's my sister, everyone that's helping out. So there is a lot going on behind the scenes at the moment. And as always, there's always going to be new lanyards coming out all the time, and new resources and a new classroom decor pack is coming.
Ooh, that sounds fun too.
Yes. Always
So
fun.
if people want to connect with you and find out what this new classroom decor pack is once it's released, how can they do it?
So you can obviously go onto my Instagram and TikTok page, which is Miss Inclusivity on both. You can also sign up to my email list, which I give a little bit of a pre-warning. I also give a bit of a VIP early access to all launches and stuff like that through my email subscriber list. So you can just do that on missinclusivity.com.
Perfect. And I'll pop all those links into the show notes. So if you want to connect with Bridget, or you want to learn more, or you want to grab yourself a couple of extra lanyards to match your outfits for teaching, you can totally do that.
Yes, absolutely. Always. There's always never enough lanyards.
You heard it. She would prefer the lanyard stash over the stamp stash. That's saying something. We're not going to edit it out. It's staying. Bridget, thank you so much for giving your time up to talk with us today. I know that the listeners would really appreciate it, and I really appreciate it too. It's always such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's so awesome. I think this is like the third time we've recorded together, because we did it on my podcast even like 2 years ago. It's so much fun. It's amazing. I love connecting with you guys, and thank you for having me again.
Pleasure. Wasn't that a fun episode? I can't believe it that she would choose lanyards over a stash of stamps, but we probably should have known that, right? Thank you to Bridget for coming on and sharing everything that she's learned so far as an early career teacher, but also as a pre-service teacher and a business owner. There's so many facets in Bridget's life, and I'm amazed by all the balls that she keeps up in the air and flowing at all times. And I'm so appreciative that she took the time out during her school holidays when we recorded this, just to sit down and have a chat and share everything that was on her mind. She's always so easy to chat to, and I'm sure that you could hear that throughout the episode. If you want to connect with Bridget, I've left all of those details in the show notes. And you know what? We would love it if you could send this episode to someone else that you think might enjoy this teacher chat. We will be back, same time, same place next week. Until then, there are rainbows ahead, and together we're unstoppable.